Yo, this is Bench Gamer here. So in the recent 3.1 live stream, I don't know what it's called. It's like a special version patch, special program, whatever they want to call it. You know what I'm talking about. There have been two major announcements beyond the usual stuff that we always get in Genshin Impact, which is like, Archon Quest, version events, awards, more characters, all that usual stuff. Beyond that, we are getting two new things in Genshin Impact in the future. Number one is that we are getting a card game in the game of Genshin Impact itself in version 3.3. There was a short snippet of the card game in action, and to be honest, I thought it looked pretty simple. I couldn't even see a deck. There were like five cards in the hand of the opponent player. So you can have three characters on one side, it seems, and then they have like the burst abilities, and then they can do normal attacks. All the usual stuff that comes with like hero versus hero card game combat. So that looks like a very simple but also fun and probably going to be just another thing to do in Genshin Impact, right? It's always good to have different types of content in Genshin Impact. It's still not like end game combat content, but at this point, I think it's that boat has sailed. Just like better anniversary rewards. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Like if you're expecting more anniversary rewards and more end game content, then that Genshin Impact just isn't the game for you anymore. But the second major thing that was announced in the live stream was that we are getting an animation project made by Hoyoverse and Ufotable in collaboration with each other. Now, this has been much more hyped, I think, on Twitter and Reddit than everything else that was announced beyond, the characters, because the characters are everything Genshin Impact. So it's being really hyped up because Ufotable, if you didn't know, is actually a very major and very prominent Japanese animation studio. They're responsible for very, very, very popular animes like Demon Slayer, otherwise known as Kimetsu no Yaiba. If you watch any Sasuke videos at all, then you probably know that, the Demon Slayer is that anime with that clip of Tanjiro the kid slicing off that demon's head and yelling his head off, and his sister is like it throws blood at his sword, and then like she like ignites the blood on the sword, and then it turns into a flaming sword, which like enables him to slave off the demon's head. It's very over the top. Just like a lot of the other works by Ufotable, they're also responsible for Tales of Zestiria, which is actually like Genshin, or I assume what this Genshin animation project is going to be, is also an adaptation of a game to anime format. So they're not new to adapting games to anime format. Tales of Zestiria is exactly that. They've also adapted the Fate visual novels, particularly the Fate Zero. Not all of the Fate, not all of the Fate routes, but Fate is a visual novel, and they have adapted that, or at least some of the routes, to anime format. They're responsible for Fate Zero, Fate, I believe, Unlimited Blade Forks, and I think also like Fate Heaven's Feel. So if you've watched any of those, then you will have a good idea of where Ufotable is at in terms of the quality of their content. So that's why everybody is getting hyped, because the chances that this animation project between Hoyoverse and Ufotable will end up looking like shit is very, very slim. This is like an actually legit, non-scuffed anime project, or so it seems. And what they showed in the live stream was essentially a concept trailer. That's what they call it in the YouTube video title. I don't think it was as obvious in the live stream itself. It didn't even really say that it would be an animation project. It just said long-term project launch. Aside from the title Ufotable, there was really nothing else in the trailer itself that confirmed that it would be an anime. Except after the trailer, Dawe directly said that this would be an animation series. And the other guy sitting beside him, I don't know who he was, what his name is, but he also basically said that they are very excited that they are finally working to have an animation project in the works. So at this point, I think it's pretty much confirmed that this will be like an anime, so to speak. If not just like, I don't know what you would call it, because Genshin Impact is an anime inspired game. It looks like an anime, this looks like an anime, so let's just call it an anime, even though they don't really directly call it that. But I do also have some concerns, especially with what I saw in the trailer. So I'm not going to like trash it immediately, because obviously they call it a concept trailer. It's not indicative of the final the final product, or what the animation project is even going to be about. Like all of this could just be like completely thrown out into the window. They're just giving us a taste of what this animation project might look like. But it is essentially what we have at this moment to go on. So I'm just going to analyze it a bit and point out some of the things that don't really make a lot of sense. So starting off, we see Paimon, right? So it seems that this animation project, if it is based on this concept trailer, is going to be set in the current timeline, where Paimon already exists, unless she exists in the past, which I don't know why she wouldn't. But there are some indications that this could be set in the current timeline that we are playing in Genshin Impact. But at the same time, there are also some indications that this could be set not only just like in another place, but also in the past. So they show this image of this circle, this almost well-like structure, in this crevice, in this cavernous, this crevice here. But I don't think we have ever actually seen this in the game. Like I don't think this is an actual place in the game that we have been yet. So if they're making a concept trailer based on places that we've never been before, then it goes without saying that they are privy to information about the lore or the story that we have not seen yet. And that's very interesting, because it might indicate that this trailer is telling us that this animation project is going to be set in the past, or in places that we have not been before yet, or maybe it might be set in future. Like you can see that this is almost like a well-like structure. There's all of the typical ruin motifs that we see in Genshin Impact, and there's a bunch of crystals here. But as far as I know, we've never been here. It almost looks like a fantastic compass from Liyue, but everything else in the trailer shown so far makes it seem as though that this is set in Mondstadt, right? This looks like a Mondstadt type landscape. There are very few tall structures obstructing the landscape. It's a very windy place. Like it looks like a wind-blown Mondstadt-esque landscape. And here we also get to see what looks like dragon spine, but we don't see the nail in the sky. So what does that mean in terms of when this game is set? Does it mean that it's set before dragon spine was explored by the player? We don't know. Is this even dragon spine? Like it looks like dragon spine to me, but at the same time it looks a bit more realistic and it looks a bit more rugged. We don't really see like places that we can climb on, or maybe it's just covered by the mist and the clouds. So we don't know. Here we see the statue of the Seven for Venti, which basically confirms that and cements the idea that this is actually Mondstadt that we're seeing. And obviously it looks a lot bigger than what we see in the game. A lot of people have memed on the fact that the game is like absolutely tiny for a world that describes itself as a very big place canonically. But this is just like a gaming convention, right? It's basically like Pokemon, where the world that is described in the Pokemon anime is a lot bigger than what you actually explore in the game. In the game, it's like a single town is basically like 5 buildings and a Pokemon Center, and you have to go into every single building and search through the trash can for a Pokeball, and that's basically the game. And that's basically what Genshin Impact is when you think about it. It's basically just going into trash cans or chests and killing the Pokemon, which is like the Fatui or whatever mobs that you have to kill, and then you get the chest. That's basically what Genshin Impact is. But what this concept trailer is trying to show us is that the world as viewed canonically and by the people living in the world itself is that this place is humongous, that this Mondstadt area is actually a lot bigger than what we've actually explored in the game. And I think it does a very good job of that. Even though, I saw some people complain that we don't really get to see anything in terms of the characters. But as far as the concept trailer goes, it does a very good job of establishing what kind of world this animation project will be set in. And as far as that job is concerned, it does it very well. So here we get to see more of a Venti, and here we get to see another screenshot of the Statue of the Seven. And it might just be because they're expanding the world, but I also don't think I don't think that this place is in the game yet, or this place is a place in the game that you can actually go to. I don't remember seeing this place. So either they have expanded this screenshot so much, this locale so much that it's basically unrecognizable from what we see in the game, or it's just an entirely different place, or it could just be a made up place that they created specifically for this trailer. That's always possible. It's always possible that everything we see in this concept trailer is completely made up and has no relevance to the story or the world of Genshin Impact itself beyond like taking motifs from it. But I like to think that they are going a bit farther than that because they've created so much already. Like these look like fully 3D models with textures on them. Why would you create all of this only to throw it all away, right? I don't think that they're doing that. So unless I am just like having a brain fart, an absolutely humongous brain fart, these things aren't in the game as of yet. So yeah, these might be indications that these are areas that we have not explored in the game yet, or they might be set in a different time period. Maybe this is some place we've been in the game already, but it's just in the past. And here we see the traveler and their sibling holding hands, which is really weird because my big question for this animated series is how does this fit into the world of Genshin Impact as we know it so far, right? Because the story is still ongoing. And we know that unless they want this animation project to come out after the entire story of Genshin Impact is finished, then they're going to have to set this animation project in a setting that does not like ruin our own sense of exploration, right? The worst case scenario for me is that they are literally just going to retread everything we have done in Genshin Impact so far. That would be awful to me. Like I know that there are some advocates for that. Like they want to see some of the things that we have seen in the game more fleshed out because they didn't get animations of their own that maybe they should have. But for me, it would be incredibly boring for this anime to just be a literal retread. For one, it's impossible because some people have chosen Lumine or Ether, and they're going to be really put off by the fact that I mean, come on, it's basically canon now that Ether is the canonical protagonist. But I think it would just be really weird if they literally came out with an anime that was all about Ether and Lumine was just not in it for like the first 4 seasons, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons before eventually they reunite. It would just be really weird in my opinion. So I don't know where they are going with this concept trailer. They're literally just holding hands and staring off into the distance. And this mountain on the side here, I assume it's just it's I assume it's dragon spine. But even this screenshot doesn't really seem like it's it's the Mondstadt that we know. For one, these ruins, right? Yes, we have seen these ruins before, but not laid out in this specific manner. And this seems to be looking out over the ocean into Dragonspine, right? This I assume this is the ocean, but we have literally never seen these floating islands, these floating rock islands in the air before. These are not in the game, and we don't see Celestia. Where is Celestia? There are literally no shots of Celestia in the sky. So is this possibly set in the past, or maybe even after the events of the Genshin Impact story as we know it? Maybe like they actually reunited. Maybe this is set after the events of the game has already ended and they have reunited and they're now just staring out over the new Mondstadt or whatever is there now. Maybe that's why the Neo isn't there anymore. Maybe it's already being, I don't know, returned to Celestia. Like they literally catapulted back to Celestia, I guess. And they're just staring out into the sunset, or it's actually not a sunset, it's like the morning. So, and they're just going to go off onto another adventure. I don't know. So those are just some of my musings on what this trailer is showing exactly, because all of this could just be completely conceptual. It could have completely no relevance to the trailer, to the world of Genshin Impact as we know it. But I'm just so weirded out. Like where are these floating islands coming from? These aren't in the game, right? I'm not just imagining things, am I? I'm not just having a gigantic brain fart. And this isn't in the game. Like I don't ever remember going to a statue of the seven, especially for the Venti and Mondstadt, that looks like this, right? There's no like these gigantic mountains or hills, and I don't remember like these rocky ice things being on the side. Am I just not remember things correctly? Maybe I should go back in the game and make sure 100% that these aren't actually in-game assets right now. And I don't remember all of these crystals. I definitely don't remember all of these crystals. If they were there, I would have this on my map, like as a location I go to literally every single day to mine crystals. But no, this isn't in the game. This is not in the game right now. Okay, so that's basically all my thoughts on the trailer. Again, it could just be completely conceptual, but I am concerned where this anime is going to be headed in terms of how it fits in the Genshin Impact world. It's not just because like I'm concerned about the animation. The animation is I am 99% sure is going to look absolutely amazing. Mihoyoverse themselves, they are very good at animation. They have shown that they can do 3D animated combat scenes both in Genshin Impact and especially in Honkai Impact. So I'm not worried about the battles. But if this animated project is just going to be a retread of what we've done in Genshin Impact already, I'll be honest, I have absolutely no interest in that. I don't want to see a more detailed version of us versus Raiden Shogun. I don't want to see like the first entire season just us being paraded around Mondstadt going towards like the Storm Terror like mountain or whatever, and then having to battle Storm Terror and seeing like a high visual version of us jumping around on the platforms to escape the Storm Terror battle. That's horrible. So I want them to do something new. I want them to fill out the blanks in our understanding of Genshin Impact's world. Like maybe they could do an animated series on the Yakshas before they went all haywire and like killed themselves or whatever. That would be really cool. Maybe they could do like a slice of life animated series about what living in Mondstadt is like for the Knights of Favonius. That would be really cool. Maybe they could cover Diluc and Kaya's relationship before they also went haywire and kind of fought each other. So those are some of the things that I want to see animated. I don't want to see just stuff we've already done as the Traveler. Because let's be honest, the Traveler is not that interesting of a character. They don't have that many voice lines. And if this animated feature, or I don't know what to call it, I'm just gonna call it an anime. If this anime is literally going to be about the Traveler and their sibling, that would be so boring. Like they don't talk in the game. And it would just be so jarring to see them talk all the time in the anime as opposed to like them not talking at all in the in the game itself. Like wouldn't that feel weird to you? So yeah, yeah, those are just some of my concerns. Anyways, I think I've ranted long enough now. You can if you haven't lost interest already, you can go. Yeah, this is Bench Gamer signing out.